What's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu, and I wanted to talk to y'all about this Grayzone video I had peeped last night at work. So I drive a forklift and everything, and I work like 10 hours, so I have a lot of time to listen to a lot of shit. And when I'm not bumping some music, I'm bumping podcasts and everything of the such. And last night I peeped the Grayzone, and they did this live stream, but I listened to the afterwards version of it, but. They had this live stream where they were obviously talking about the assault on the Capitol, but also it's kind of weird how we just say that normally, like the assault on the Capitol building. Okay, but they also talked about the aftermath of forced to vote, and the whole conversation was interesting. Like there were points that I agreed with from everybody, even points that I didn't necessarily agree with, like Aaron Matei's points when it came to not going as scorched earth as Jimmy is on a lot of people who are against forced to earth, forced to vote, which I disagree with because I feel like you need to either get them back on board with actual left progressive ideology or to go with the corporate Democrats over there. It's That's just how I feel. But even still, then there were points that I agreed with Aaron on. But I want to hyper focus on Max Blumenthal because he aired a lot of shit out, and I'm probably gonna do a couple videos about this. But I want to specifically talk about how he fucking like aired AOC the fuck out, like aired her out, bruh. So I cut out the portion where he talked about AOC, and he talked about her a lot, but I felt like this hits best, and also he connected a lot of dots. So I'll explain after the clip. So here we go.
And here's what happened. I'm going to toss this to Danny, but here's what I think happened with this battle over forced to vote. AOC personally coordinated the attacks on Jimmy Dore. That's what I believe happened. And behind that, you had Democratic congressional leadership actually getting AOC to shut this down because it was such a threat to what they were trying to do, because it challenges the whole concept of this progressive wing sheepdogging all of these young people who are being betrayed and all of these left-wing millennials back into the Democratic Party. It's just scared them. It scared the hell out of them. And AOC, I know this for a fact. I know AOC was told by Pelosi and whoever else to shut this stuff down. And then it filters down to the Ben Dixons and everyone else who wants access to AOC. And you can see that access playing out at The Intercept with Ryan Grimm or Jeremy Scahill's softball interview with her, where they're not going to challenge her because she brings in the views, and she's pretty much all they have left after Glenn left. I mean, it's basically the Interslept. So they need AOC energy, and she's been created as this giant celebrity. And then for AOC personally, she was brought out of obscurity. AOC, she was not a movement figure. I mean, she says right at the end of every sentence, which you have to do if you're in the movement, right? So you have to do that, right? And she calls everyone
right.
Folks. You have to call everyone folks and say right at the end of every. The Proud Folks were out today, right? So anyway, but she was never a part of the BDS movement. She was never at anti-war rallies.
And she sold out. The Palestinians were the first people she sold out.
But even before, she was never a part of anything. She was a bartender, and she's always like, yeah, like she was at some like dive bar or something with all of these like factory workers saddling up after a hard day, and then they have to like put their feet in buckets full of hot water because they were standing all day or something on the assembly line. No bullshit. She was at this bar called like I forget what it was called. It was on Union Square, and you have to have a headshot before you get hired at that bar. It's like an elite bar. That's as far one of the bars I think she worked at. But anyway, she comes into Congress completely unknown, uplifted by all these DSA people who live in the gentrifying sections of her district, which are pushing the Puerto Ricans out. And then she starts to make $170,000. She's a national celebrity on the cover of Vanity Fair, wearing $4,000 dresses, posing with Nancy Pelosi. She's important. And she starts to get cognitively captured by the establishment. And now she's presented by Jimmy Dore. He presents her with the basic contradiction, a fundamental contradiction of what she said before she was elected.
Which is how she defeated Crowley and pulled off that victory. Is by adopting this movement that she then refused to stand up for.
And saying, I will be a one-term congressperson and I'm going to disrupt business as usual because these people are screwing you. And that's why they voted for her. And then she refuses to do it. She won't do it because she doesn't want to give up all of what she has, which could possibly lead her to the Senate or even the presidency in her mind. And so that's what's been created for us. And then you have all these pundits acting as her lager, to use an Afrikaner South African term, circling the wagons around her to defend her, and just deploying the same access journalism that is part of the culture of the Beltway that we hate, that the DSA is supposed to hate, and they've all been dragged into the system on AOC's coattails. And that's why it's so important what Jimmy did. He succeeded. Force the Vote succeeded in exposing the squad. It succeeded. Anyone who says it failed doesn't know how this works. And it succeeded because it's moving people towards organizations outside the Democratic Party, which will never produce material change. I'm 43. I just turned 43. It's never produced material change in my lifetime. I'm not going to live forever, so I'm eventually going to go in a different direction, and so should you.
Hey, yo, Max Blumenthal dropping that truth bomb on AOC, bro. He just aired her the fuck out. Aired her out. Everything he just said in that clip was 100% true. Facts, B. That's what it is, bro. Like, just starting off, off rip, how he says AOC coordinated the attack on Jimmy, which Jimmy himself has already said, but it makes perfect sense. It makes sense. Because people forget, Jimmy started out attacking Mark Pocan until, because Mark Pocan was saying dumb shit at the time, like, when Jimmy first started Force the Vote. He was saying dumb shit like, progressives aren't going to have enough votes to block Pelosi from the speakership. And even if we did, we shouldn't, because McCarthy will become the speaker. Both of those turned out to be complete dog shit. But, but AOC jumped in when Justin Jackson started tweeting out about Jimmy's idea. And that's when, instead of responding to Jimmy, she decides to go at Justin Jackson so she doesn't have to respond to Jimmy, because she knows Jimmy's is gonna sauce the fuck out of her, and she didn't expect an NFL player to know what the fuck he was talking about, and he ran her shit on Twitter, made her look dumb, and then finally, all of this, she went into that dumbass interview with Jeremy Scahill where he basically gave her a fucking tongue bath and shit like that, and then finally it ended with her saying, Jimmy telling her to go fuck herself is committing violence on her. Shorty, you got violence. When they stormed that fucking Capitol. It may not have been specifically about you, but it was about Congress's failure to provide to people. That's anger. That's what that looks like. They see Donald Trump. You guys are so bad at your job that they see Donald Trump as the light at the end of the tunnel. Live with that. But continuing. But he even goes on to say that media figures like Ben Dixon, and basically the people who were shitting on Jimmy, Ben Dixon, TYT, saying, he didn't say them specifically, but media figures like them started going on with these fucking smear tactics. Like, literally, this reminds me of neoliberal shit. This is like shit like they did. This literally reminds me of what they did to Cenk when he ran, which is so ironic that he, I didn't see him like, he was smearing Jimmy, but not in a way like, the Majority Report crowd was, like, basically like calling him a fucking sadist and saying he's paid off by Steve Bannon and shit. Like, just completely off the wall shit. That's what that fucking Nomki Chomp, whatever the fuck her name is, what she was saying about Jimmy and shit. Just ridiculous shit. So, and you just see them parroting shit. And this is like the neoliberal handbook. This is how they smear people. And it's like, seeing like people who claim to be progressives do that to a progressive was just fucking like disgusting in my opinion. But then he continues on by saying that, like, The Intercept, in order to gain access to AOC, ran, basically never pushed her on Force the Vote at all. People like, and then, as recently Ryan Grimm, literally everything Ryan Grimm was he tweeted out about the pay-go exemptions and everything, and that he was running cover for them, for the squad. And then, like, conveniently, they all tweet that out, that little, like, they were strategizing on everything except getting you fucking healthcare. That's literally what they were doing. And Max Blumenthal basically exposed that. He also exposed, so as you guys remember, one of the things AOC said about Jimmy was that he's not a real organizer and shit like that and everything. And that's just fucking bullshit. Like, he's a citizen. He's a person that went bankrupt over healthcare. He has a right to come at you for not doing your fucking job and what you campaigned on. as a citizen. But Max Blumenthal basically exposes her like, yo, she wasn't like some fucking organizer or some shit like that. Like she was working at some fucking bar, and it's not like, and he's not like shaming her for working at a bar. You know, that was one of her campaign shticks. Like, oh, I was a bartender, so I understand what it's like to be a working class person. I'm sure you do, but stop pretending like you worked at this bar, like this dive. He was like this dive bar where like workers would come and shit like that after work, and she understood the working plight. He basically exposed her for working at this like elitist, basically rich college kid type of bar and shit like that, where you literally have to have a headshot to work there. So yeah, and then when she decided to run, that's when she got the DSA and people like that propped her up. But then all these DSA people talking about, you know, you hear a lot of them talking about the rights of, you know, poor black people and poor Spanish people, you know, poor people of color, basically. Like they live in these gentrified neighborhoods that pushed out poor Puerto Ricans out of their neighborhoods in AOC's district. Unfucking believable. This is why Richard Medhurst calls you guys the fucking boutique left. You fucking faux-gressives. Fuck you. So, and Max Blumenthal. But then all this shit he revealed about AOC, right? I started connecting dots myself because as you guys saw, I did a story about how AOC takes corporate money and shit like that. And you know, you guys gave a little bit of pushback, which I like to respond here, you know, right now and say, you know. I don't understand how, like, so the main criticism people have been saying is those are people working for those companies like Amazon, like Apple, like Google that donated money to her. So my question would be, why would you, like, if you were an employee at X company and you wanted to send a political donation to somebody, would you do it via your job that you don't fucking like? Like, and then on top of that, even if you did like your job, why would you donate, you know, campaign money via your job? That makes no sense to me. Like, please explain it to me. If I'm wrong, explain it to me. I will retract my video if I'm wrong, but until somebody shows me evidence on how that makes sense and what fucking place that makes sense where you donate political contributions to somebody, it makes sense when the fucking company wants to hide that shit that they're donating to this politician. It makes sense. And it's like, you know, when I was calling her like a Manchurian candidate, I'm not saying like they fucking took AOC to some black site and brainwashed her. What I'm saying is I believe AOC believes in single payer healthcare. I believe AOC believes in the Green New Deal. I believe AOC believes in this shit. But I believe her ideas aren't fleshed out enough to understand what, you know, for example, her Green New Deal is a giveaway to corporations, to the corporations that give her fucking money. So that's what I'm saying. So until somebody explains that and that makes sense, AOC takes corporate money. The squad takes corporate money. Rokana takes it. Ilhan Omar takes it. I didn't look into the other members yet, and when I look into them and see some bullshit, I'm going to report that too. So until you guys, you know, let me know where I'm tripping at, where I'm bugging at. As of right now, to me, and to a lot of people, AOC takes fucking corporate money. But connecting the dots, Max Blumenthal, more dots he put on the table. So AOC took out Crowley, who turns out, you know, he was going to be the successor to Pelosi for the speakership position, but apparently, allegedly, he was planning on usurping her of that before she retired. So again, I'm not saying Pelosi like paid AOC to like run or some shit like that. I'm saying it's mighty convenient that she runs against the person who's about to run for Pelosi's seat, if that's true. And then on top of that, you know, just following her career trajectory, it makes sense that she wants to protect her career. Because as that Politico article revealed, she's been distancing herself from Bernie and from more like, I guess what they call radical progressives and shit, people that want help people. Like they call radical, like the fucking the establishment calls radical you wanting poor people to have healthcare and not wanting homeless people in the street and not wanting the earth to destroy itself because of fossil fuels. That's radical, but okay. But she's been distancing herself from Bernie and like what the establishment considers, you know, radical extremists and shit like that. But, you know, and Max points out again, she's making $174,000 now, gains this massive celebrity. She has 11 million followers on Twitter and counting. And it's like, you know, she refuses to force the vote. She refuses it. Why? You know, to a lot of people, it seems like you're protecting your career, which she fucking is. So, you know, all that talk of being a one-term congresswoman doesn't quite, you know, fit into the picture when you got your eyes set on becoming a senator or President Ocasio-Cortez. And that's kind of what the Nation was talking about in this one article they wrote. I forget who the author was of that article, but basically he was like, people need to stop demanding AOC to force the vote because it makes her look bad and it might hurt her chances of her eventually running for president. It's fucking ridiculous, man. This is fucking bullshit. So, she's on covers with Pelosi and shit like that, calling her mama bear and shit like that. Now her and Ilhan Omar and them like literally are trying to force the vote on impeachment, which is complete dog shit because he's going to be out of office. Donald Trump is going to be out of office in like 2 weeks. So you're forcing the vote on this bullshit, on impeachment. This is political theater, but you're not going to force the vote to get your constituents health care that you fucking ran on. Fuck you fucking progressives. You fucking boutique left ass motherfuckers, man. This is what people are talking about. This is why people are upset. This is why, look, I would be talking nice to them if they were actually doing their fucking job. But since they're not, I'm going to talk to them like they fucking crazy. And again, I don't agree with why those people stormed the Capitol, but the people they considered rhinos are fucking scared as shit right now. And that's how they need to feel right now. And if we have to do it just by, yelling at them, I'm down for that shit, bro. Like, this is ridiculous. They're getting mad at us for yelling at them to get them to do what they fucking campaigned on. This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. And this is why, I'm glad Max aired her ass the fuck out. Keep doing that shit, bro, because that's what you're there for. He even wraps up at the end of the video basically saying, like, we're here to challenge the establishment, whoever that shall be. And if that includes the squad, so be it. And he even talks about the Obamification of the squad. Like, Ilhan Omar comes out wearing her hijab. Like, bitch, like, Shirley, fuck your hijab if you're pushing imperialism. When she signed on to that AIPAC letter, basically to stop arms from Iran and shit like that, when she backs away from her criticism of Israel and their imperialism, all of them. And it's like, it's just fucking ridiculous, man. Like, holding them accountable makes you somehow like pro-Trump. Fuck you. Fuck you. So, and it's like, and just the final point, Max makes the point about how, like, basically, like, people like the DSA and shit like that, they basically got dragged into the system of the Democratic Party on AOC's coattails, and he's 100% right. Like, you hear these people saying, corporate CIA talking points now. You see it. So it's sad to see, but I'm glad we see it so that we know what it is. Like, it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and close the video out there. As always, thanks for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button. It lets YouTube know that you're liking the videos. You guys are doing a great job at that. You guys are doing a great job of talking to me. I love it, man. I love talking to y'all. This is why I started the channel, to have a conversation, not to get famous like AOC wants, to actually have conversations with people about politics, honestly, whether you agree with me or you don't. I like talking about politics. A lot of people don't like doing that in my life. So this is my outlet to talk it. So, yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Hit that share button, subscribe, whatever it is. Comment, definitely comment like you guys have been. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Peace. Peace.